Okay, right. So let's quickly look at the strategy that you can use to trade synthetic indices. So for this one, you can use two time frames or multiple time frames. But for the demos, the purpose rather of this video, we're gonna use 15 minutes and go down to 5 minutes as well. Okay, you're gonna need certain things. First of all, you will have to identify a trend. That is number one. You'll have to identify a trend, whether it's going up or going down. And second one, you'll have to put up the MACD indicator, this indicator that you're seeing here with the following settings. Your fast MA will be 100, slow 26, and then your signal line will be at 9. This will allow us to do the opposite. Okay, it is going to flip up the MACD so that we don't have frequent crossovers. You can see how stretched this indicator is as compared to the normal one. Okay, so that is what the settings are doing. So remember, we identify a trend. For example, we can identify this trend. I'm on 15 minutes. Rule number one, I just want to dive straight to the strategy without wasting time. There we go. Rule number one, we've identified that the trend is a downtrend. Rule number two, we use the MACD to find the overbought, oversold, okay, which is like the extreme high, extreme lows, and all that. But we're not going to use the overbought, oversold like we do with normal RSIs and all that. We're going to flip the rules. When you see that something is overbought, you are actually going to buy, okay? When something is oversold, you're actually going to do what? To sell. Does it make sense? Notice how this one on the MACD, notice how this one is extremely overbought, but here price, we're looking to buy the breakout of that. Okay, when it's extremely oversold on the MACD, remember that overbought, oversold, we're using the MACD, we're not necessarily looking at the chart. Look at that, extremely oversold on the MACD. If you identify that trend, let's say maybe mark that and that, and you notice that this is extremely oversold, can you see that? What do? You look for a breakout and you sell. Disclaimer, you might be thinking, nah, this guy now is talking crap. How can we sell when it's oversold? Hey, Lalela, listen, we have tweaked these particular shandies to these settings. That is why these conditions are flipped. And what we are going to do now that you understand that we've tweaked this, therefore the conditions have flipped, what we are going to do is, after identifying a trend, of course, on higher time frame, you can see where the crossover took place, showing you that the transition was about to take place. We don't want to take this because we can claim a lot of things because I'm recording this video and looking at hindsight examples. What we want to do, we want a crossover that will take place before the trend line break. That will be suggesting that, hey, we are most likely to break out. So I can just mark this area randomly. I believe somewhere there, if we go to a different time frame, we're going to see a crossover before this trend line is broken. That is why I said for this M15, you are identifying a trend and identifying your bought, oversold, or your extreme highs. But the crossover, you're going to look for it on a different time frame, and it must be before the trend line is broken. So you can see by randomly marking there, here's a crossover, but the trend line was not broken. Price was probably somewhere there and played around, but eventually it broke out. This one that you have marked green, and this one is the after. This is the profit, okay? Because as soon as you see that crossover and on 15 minutes, price is already gone. You find that price is already outside, that already broken out of that particular trend line. That is why I'm saying, after you've identified the trend, you change what? You change the time frame, look for a crossover that took place. You identify a trend, identify whether it's extremely high on one time frame. I've marked this trend line here on 15 minutes. Oh, this vertical line here on 15 minutes. I've marked this because you'll be seeing an extreme high before the crossover, because this one is the after. That is why I'm saying that it's going to be difficult to explain this in hindsight. So to crush the idea of, oh, but we can't trade the crossover, this one we don't necessarily care about it. We want the one that is inside. But because I'm doing this in hindsight, I need to highlight what the higher time frame is going to show you, and how you can find the before part. Okay, so with this one, we can see before the break, you can see this one is extremely what? It's extremely oversold. Okay, on the indicator. When you look at this one up there, what do we need to do? This is the after effect. What we need to do is to look for one for something that took place before this whole point, because here we'll be claiming if we're on 15 minutes and saying, I see the crossover on 15 minutes. You say, there's a before part, before there was even a break. That is what I'm trying to correct, because we're doing this in hindsight. Okay, so we know that before, the most important crossover is the one that actually took place somewhere around there before there was even a break. Okay, I'll try to see if I will find an example that we can take a trade from. So you can see it looked like a neutralization of some sort. Even just before that, there's a crossover. Or you can take these ones that are there, but make sure that it's before the trend line is broken on a different time frame. So if we're to do it in real time now, if you look at this, this doesn't meet the conditions, because this is not extremely overbought. It's not on top there or below there. So we cannot, and if you check, there's no trend. It's just the price moving sideways. So this is a no-go. Let's see if we can find, we can implement it on a different instrument. Okay, now doing it on a live chart on Boom, you can see that this is extra. We don't wait for the crossover on 15 minutes, since you can see now we're doing it in real time. So what do we do first? Identify a trend. There's a trend line, and we change a time frame. This is where we're going to check the crossover, because if you wait there on 15 minutes, you'll find that price now have already gone down. Remember, these are lagging indicators that we have. This indicator is lagging. So we change the time frame, look for a crossover. What kind of a crossover? A bullish crossover here. This is extremely oversold. Yeah, and then there we look for a sell up there. Disclaimer again, I have tweaked this. So if you're familiar with the normal settings or the normal RSIs and whatsoever, it's gonna oppose that sort of a concept. Okay, because of this, because we need more reliable signals coming from the indicator that we've used there. So if I come down, you can see that crossover is taking place around that place, and it's extremely far away compared to these ones. And you can see that the crossover, whenever a crossover took place, something sold somewhere early, neutral, and this is just suggesting that we most likely to, as we move towards the trend line, we're most likely to break that particular trend line, and alternatively have a crossover here. As you can see that this is far away. Okay, so we could see another sort of a crossover around that point. Okay, so that is basically what you do. Simply switch between time frames, but on a lower time frame, you are looking for a crossover that is taking place before the break. So now that we're moving it nicely in real time, the crossover before the break, go to 5 minutes. You can see this is the crossover around this point taking place. Wait for it to fully do that and look up. Okay, by that it will be coming somewhere around that point. It will be suggesting that we are about to actually do that. Okay, and that is why we will see these ones also getting closer together. The reason why I said look on 15 minutes and make sure that this is extremely high, because we want to make sure that price have already stretched, because we want to catch that big move if it crashes down or if it pushes back up. So that is the shanties that you want to do, but make sure that you identify trends nicely, and it's much better on this particular tool around that point. Okay, so if you have any questions, I mean, this is simple, straightforward. Like I said, there's another video that I've done on the settings of this MACD. I will link it down in the description box below. Do make sure that you check it out. Otherwise, if you have watched this video up to here, more a like. I mean, it doesn't cost a thing. More a like, and also do check the what you call around this the YouTube channel, the Telegram. I'm saying the YouTube channel. We're on YouTube. The Telegram channel, free Telegram channel. If you check it out, there are other videos I shared, like some NAS Shandis couple of days ago. We're able to take that, and yesterday as well, I shared something that's like raw videos there, upload that. As you can see, the videos that are not on YouTube, so do check out that particular channel, or simply go to Telegram and search for Vindi Forex channel. You will see it. Otherwise, more like, subscribe if you are new. Otherwise, my name is Vindi. Let's cut this thing off. sharp, sharp.